From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin energy. The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Bang! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant. It indeed is live right here on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Us being Corey Clark, lead writer, senior writer for warchant.com, ultimate Seminoles sports source, frequent columnist, frequent guest appearer on all sorts of video live programming on the YouTube universe for warchant.com, and obviously here on Wake Up Warchant. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. Thanks so much for being here. Shout out to the dozens of you that were just sitting there waiting. It's kind of cool, Corey. It shows you like how many people are waiting. So thanks for being here. I'd hit a thumbs up if you had something similar in your life that would show my appreciation for you. I ask for you to do the same. Hit the thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. Subscribe to warchant.com. No promo code needed, Corey. Again, it's the 150 deal. 1 week, $1, and then 50% off an annual membership at warchant.com, which will take you into, I don't know what, the second edition of the playoff rankings next year when Florida State's jockeying for top positioning.
Right. Yeah, I think they'll probably be 5th or 6th.
Okay.
They'll be 5th or 6th. That Alabama win's not going to hold a lot of weight once the Crimson Tide drop 4 or 5 games.
Okay. Thanks again for being here. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Check it out for the columns Corey's been cranking out of late. And I don't want to say cranking out. That's not a proper verb. Thoughtfully penning. Our guy, Irish O'Fell, managing editor, caught up with athletics director Michael Alford for a 2-part sit-down interview story, if you will. Second part is dropped over on warchant.com. Bookmark that. Go ahead and read it after you watch and enjoy this program. Corey, how are you?
I'm okay, buddy. I'm okay. I won't get into the trials and tribulations too much, but on my drive back to Atlanta last night around 7:30 on 285, apparently I sprung a leak in my radiator. Something hit the front of my car, and then all of a sudden I got all these warning messages about my coolant temperature and then my engine temperature, and then it told me to pull over and find a safe location. All this stuff. I ended up barely squeaking and making it home. And then got it towed to the mechanic today, and it's going to cost me, about 4 figures.
Oh,
4 figures. So not a great start to the trip up to Atlanta, but other than that, I'm doing great. And I survived. I'm breathing air. I live to see another day.
well, for you, my friend,
The mood.
I will take a bottle of this. It's Vitamin Energy Mood, everybody. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code warchantbogo, warchant, B-O-G-O, live, recorded, doesn't matter. Wake Up Warchant, always presented, always powered by our great friends over at Vitamin Energy. We'll take this off, and I will.
Yeah, buddy.
Get
Nice.
some! VitaminEnergy.com, promo code warchantbogo. Buy one, get one free. What are you waiting for? Everybody, listen. 'Tis the season. Buy one, get one free. You'll have 24 bottles. 24 stocking stuffers.
Yeah.
Or just, 12. Maybe keep 12 for yourself. Give the gift that everybody needs. Vitamins, energy, nutrients, no sugar crash. Literally, clinically proven to enhance your mood, to improve your focus, reducing brain fog, improving your pump in the gym. Just got back, Corey. Look at that. Been out the gym for about 6 days, but got some of that creatine pumping in me. And Vitamin Energy. All right, Corey, let's start the show. Caleb James, okay. Who is on the hot board?
Sign up Warchant, Caleb James.
Yeah. I reposition this and I offer a counter question to this. Who isn't on the hot board? I counted 18 candidates on the warchant.com 1.0 offensive coordinator hot board, Corey Clark.
Yeah, and just on the OC, and that's not even talking about the DC. Look, again, I said it on headlines. I've said on this show, there will be no shortage of interested applicants to be the coordinator at Florida State University. And you can say, yeah, the last 2 guys just got fired. Sure. They also got to coach Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Renardo Green and Jordan Travis and Keon Coleman and Trey Benson. And they also went 13-0 and won an ACC championship. And maybe more importantly to their family, they became millionaires once they. So it is a very attractive. It is a very attractive spot for a head coach that proved pretty recently he can win a lot of games. So it's not a career killer by any means. It's a career lifter for almost anybody that is not already an OC at an SEC or Big Ten school.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to.
And also, I want people to know I'm leaning back like this, Aslan, again, because of the glasses thing. If I get too close, it's just blue everywhere. I'm leaning back.
There we go. There we go. Old Blue Eyes Clark over there.
Yep.
So the quote from the latest story of Michael Alford, "The brand is still the brand." Man, I was very surprised by just the absolute diversity of people on this list. As Norvell had said on Monday, and Corey pointed out in the Wake Up Warchant episode about people from the next level maybe having some interest. There's a name of a guy there, but I don't know, man. I think that's highly unlikely. But there's guys from the Power 4 level, a Power 2 level. Is there a guy from the Power 2 level? I shouldn't have talked out of school like that. I know for sure the Power 4, but
yeah, sure. I would think that I think there are Power 2 options available. I just don't think you're looking at necessarily. I mean, you're not looking at unless somebody's about to get fired. They're going to view Florida State right now in the current context because they don't know what conference they're going to be in as a lateral move at best. But you could get a Power 2 quarterbacks coach that has shown some ability to be an OC, or a Power 2 receivers coach, and give him a bump in pay. Looking at you, Heartline. Columbus sucks. Starting like middle of December, it's just going to be miserable in Columbus, Ohio. So, Tallahassee, again, I can't stress it enough. Nothing but palm trees and beaches.
Yeah, man. Our guy Hawaii, Noel. Good news is we have $0 allocated to anyone with the Battle's End for next year. So this new staff has a full clip. At least I sure hope that's the case, because I wouldn't pay anyone to come back.
Who would, I don't think that's true, but who would be your top 5 wants to come back, Aslan?
Jalen Lucas.
The guy that they gave the ball to 5 times. Yeah, I won't even count like Azar. I won't count the defensive lineman or Azarie because I assume they're leaving. I would say Cryer, just because I like how he's built. I like who the dude is. Edwin Joseph, for sure.
I'll be talking about Edwin Joseph like he's LaMarcus Joyner reincarnated.
That's a guy. Let me put it to you this way, Aslan. If it's him coming off that blitz, if it's him coming free on that blitz against Riley Leonard, and he has a blindside hit on Riley Leonard, you think maybe the ball comes loose? Like he might have gotten a targeting because he would have tried to light him up. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's LaMarcus Joyner. I'm saying you need that kind of dog, and he is one. You need one of those, man, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I like Cryer because he's a decent enough player. He might end up being really good, but he's a galvanizing guy. And you're going to be bringing in so many new dudes that you're going to need a couple holdovers that can like preach the Norvell way, that can show and lead by example and lead by, vocally. But other than that,
Destin Hill.
Sure, I guess Destin Hill, but yes. But again, he's coming off a major injury. So he'd be one I like. I like that kid, but we are now on year 5 from him graduating high school. And I think he's got 5 catches in his career. Some of that through no fault of his own.
Yeah, listen, this is more of a rhetorical thing that I should, we should talk about like in a long car ride and not on an hour-long show with a whole bunch of people having questions lined up. But I don't get the finances of any of this stuff. I know when Willie was on the hot seat, if you will, people were talking about Florida State can't afford for him to fail. So that's like why they went and got Kendall Briles. And we thought it was unlikely they would get rid of him so early. Now I know that buyout is worlds different than what Mike has, but we keep talking about like Mike can't fail, football can't fail. I understand. Where is this money coming from though? I mean, this is a considerable, imagine, I was thinking about this. If I won the lotto, if I won $100 million and let's say I want to do something crazy like bring Jimbo back, I'd have no money left. I'd have to pay for everybody to leave and have some money left over to maybe have Jimbo come back. I won't even have a whole staff. And I know they're not having to spend $100 million, but whoever had the money last year to throw $5-6 million, let's say, to stroke a check like, all right, let's keep Atkins, let's keep Fuller. I'm pissed off about the snub. Let's keep everybody intact. Use some of the extra money to get players. Who's got the amount of money to come back the next year after you're going to be 2-10, maybe 3-9, and like, here's another $8 million to go find a different coordinator because the guys that we thought we bought into didn't make it work, and go get another player or two if you have any money left over. I can't wrap my head around the people that keep this thing going. God bless you all. Like,
I'm going to say they're rich.
But you don't get rich by doing reckless things with your money most of the time.
Yeah, but part of the fun things of being rich is you get to spend your money however you want to spend your money. If you get rich enough, you got a lot of disposable and discretionary income. You can do whatever you want with it. Some people some people buy islands. Some people buy Twitter. Some people try to buy rosters for a football team. Like, rich people do crazy stuff with their money all the time. And I don't only see crazy stuff that makes them happy, stuff that they enjoy, stuff that there are rich people out there that love Florida State University and get a real kick and a real joy out of watching a good football team, and they want to do their part to help. But I don't run in those circles. I'd like to. Guys, I'll come to the parties. You sit me down at one of these rich person parties. I don't know if they're eyes wide shut. I don't know what goes on at these parties, Aslan, but I'll play along. I'll talk football for 30 minutes, and then we'll just have fun the rest of the night.
I know this is Wake Up Warchant, not Wake Up Quack, but have you seen this? Jeremy Fowler from ESPN has gone ahead and reported that Dan Lanning is generating buzz in NFL coaching circles. Now, not sure if that's a mutual sort of appreciation or love, but maybe that creates a absolute chaotic carousel. Because again, last year the portal was very interesting because you had two coaches in a 4-team playoff change spots. You're gonna have 12 teams in the playoff, and I did not foresee anybody leaving their situation, but maybe Dan Lanning's one of those guys. Do you go poach his staff, Corey Clark?
The only problem with that is, when would that be? Like, they might not be done playing until January 1st. So you can't go poach his staff. You could absolutely get a handshake agreement with someone. Yeah, if there's somebody there that you like. Does Gabriel have any eligibility left? Bring him. He'd certainly make the offense better. That would be interesting. I don't think it's as interesting with the assistant staff, the assistants, as it is with the Oregon players. Like, they might go somewhere else, and you might have a shot maybe with a couple of them.
Let me check here. I don't want to, can't be giving away the milk and the cow and all that kind of stuff, but I will spoil that. There was no way from Oregon on the hot board, so there's a little bit of a morsel, everybody. Again, there's 18 names. Go chew on it all over at warchant.com. If you remember, I'm sure you've been locked into it as soon as it dropped earlier today. Our guy P. Simpson, what happens first? FSU gets out of the ACC. Mike gets canned. I get married. Corey takes another flight.
I think I'm going to take another flight before. I think that's first on the list.
I mean, if I say I'm going to get married, I'm putting myself on the clock in the next 18 months, probably.
Yeah.
I'm an old man. I need to move fast. I
think my next flight could be the summer.
Oh, okay. Where are we thinking?
Don't know yet. Haven't figured that out. Maybe back to Europe. Nice. And go see some other sites.
Braden McGill, should we try and get Tommy Castellanos?
Let me ask you this, Braden. Would you rather have him running the offense next year, or the two guys on the roster right now?
Well, when you put it that way, Corey Clark.
But here's what I would say. He's thrown 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions this year, but he has not been the guy he was last year. Even though last year he threw 14 picks, he also ran for 1,200 yards. And it's like Bill O'Brien, and we saw it firsthand at Doak. He doesn't run. They don't really use his legs much. The only passes he completed at Florida State were swing passes to the running backs. And I think that was by and large kind of what they did a lot of the year. When you look at the overall numbers, certainly not terrible. Absolutely not terrible considering Florida State's current offense, but only ran for 1 touchdown, Look at all those numbers. He had like 16 yards, 15 yards, -9 yards, 43 yards. Last game, -10. I think he was banged up, was getting sacked more than usual. But let me put it this way. If you bring in an offense that can feature, has been shown to be able to feature a dynamic running quarterback, then yes, then absolutely. Like the most yards he ran for this season was the Florida State game. In Aslan, I didn't even feel like his legs were a big part of that game until the fourth quarter. He had like one drive when Florida State cut it close where he had 3 straight first down runs, and that was a wrap. That was a third of his yards. More than a third. That was 40% of his rushing yards all year were against Florida State. But then if you look at his numbers last year, he legit ran for 1,200 yards, Aslan, or like 1,150, which is just insanity. Yeah, 11-13 and 13 touchdowns. So this is a guy, 28-46. He's accounted for 47 touchdowns the last 2 years. He had 28 touchdowns last year for not a very good Boston College offense. I would that is a dynamic athlete. That is an athlete that is hard to cover. And if he's healthy, I personally think he is an immediate upgrade over what you have. But I might be biased because I've only seen him play Florida State twice. He played well in both those games.
I think it's also really good that he's shown the ability to be successful in probably 2 very different offenses, right? Like Bill O'Brien, I'm sure probably puts a little more constraints on you. And then last year, he probably was given a little bit more latitude. So the fact
so there's a nice mix. Like he only turned it over 5 times this year with 18 touchdowns. But again, it was a lot of safe throws. It was a lot of just third down throws. There wasn't really anything. I watched a couple of games that weren't Florida State. He wasn't using his athleticism at all. And I don't know if it's because he's been banged up or what, but he didn't look like the same athlete. But we know it's there because we saw it in the first game of the year. The one caveat you have is his biggest strength is his legs. And that's always dicey with a quarterback because if they get a bum ankle or hurt their knee and can't move around much, well, they become much more less impactful, I guess, much less impactful. So, but yes, I would certainly be kicking those tires. I don't like that he left his team. I'll be honest with you. That's kind of odd. I'm not a big fan of that, but I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes and what those conversations were like.
Man, we need to get another intern. We got a whole bunch of questions.
Let's go. Let's get to them. Let's fly through them.
Let's go to our guy, Eric Gravitt. He's got some dollars for us. Thank you, Eric. Wake up, fellas. If having the choice, which side of the ball would you pay more money for new assistants? Also, shout out to Knoll fans that went to South Bend despite being 1-8. Knolls were everywhere. True traveling fan base. Amen.
Yeah.
They were all over South Bend. Shout out to all of you also that came out to the Cummins tailgate. Your presence was felt and reflected well upon Corey and myself and the brand that is warchant.com. So loved all of y'all. And man, it was awesome. It was supposed to be like hot dogs and hamburgers. They went full taco bar, but like high quality steak, and high quality. It was awesome. Like taco bar, and all the drinks were free, literally. So,
all right, Cummins.
We'll see. We'll run it back maybe next year. No promises, but we'll see how it all goes. Yeah, Corey. So I don't know, when your head coach is making all this amount of money, I think you have to put a little bit more of the chips on the black or the red, whatever color you want to deem the defense. If we're using a roulette analogy metaphor.
I agree, because Norvell is going to have some input in the offense. I'd like it to be much less than he has now, but he's going to have some input in the offense. You're going to have a whole new, you're going to have a whole new defensive scheme, and that guy's you're going to want a really good coordinator. So yes, I mean you're going to want it on both sides of the ball. I think offense is more important, just because we're going to be in year 2025 and look at the teams that are really good defensively and what their records are, usually pretty good. But you look at those teams that score a ton of points. They're all good. And look at the teams that don't score any points. They're all awful. So, I just think in 2025, you can't have a bad offense. You can have an average offense or a decent offense. You can't have a bad offense. So that you need to get that right. But if we're going with Eric's question, and thank you very much for the donation, Eric, I would say, or tip.
Correct.
I would say I would spend a little bit more on the defense, just because you're assuming the guy you're paying $10 million to will, help a lot with the offense.
I will say this again, not trying to give it all away and not trying to be a tease, not trying to be too much of a company.
Why? Absolutely do it.
Well, I mean,
it's what you got. Well, you enjoyed for $1.
Yeah, that's true. But if you listen to the show, Corey and we disagree on what we think the path forward is going to be for the offense. I just don't see him giving up play calling. But if you look at this hot board, it leans in Corey's theory, hopes, if you will.
Can we make a friendly wager? Not money.
Yeah.
We got to make some sort of wager. How about this? If he does end up bringing an OC that is going to be the play caller, you have to go on a double date with me and Stephanie.
You don't have, I want to.
And pay for it.
Okay, yeah. Whoever loses got to pay for it. There we go.
Right. There we go. Perfect.
All right. Awesome. I think Abby's watching this possibly. She sent me a photo of the
What
stream.
up, A-Dog?
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate the $20 in the jar, man. Austin Flowers, also in some corners of the internet, I think known as Noel Dad for life.
Thanks, Austin.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Starting the Corey Clark Radiator Fund.
I appreciate that, Austin. Thank you, buddy.
The step to a $3,000 repair is a $5 super chat. The first step in it. By the way, Castellanos on the market. Maybe that guy from UNLV can make him the next Lamar.
It's kind of what I was getting at, Austin. That was what I was saying. My man, he's done really well with a mobile quarterback here these last 5 or 6 weeks. That bodes well to get him. If he were to come, if you wanted him, if you liked what he was doing, he's shown that he can move the ball and score points with an athletic quarterback, even if he's not maybe the most accurate thrower in the world. And also, don't you think Castellanos, I'm not trying to kick Brock or Luke out. I'm really not. And there might be better quarterbacks on the market. So you don't want to jump all in on Castellanos right now. But wouldn't that be a good stopgap? Because you know he can play at this level. He's not going to win you a national championship. But the reality is you're not going to win a national championship anyway, probably next year. But that is a good stopgap where he can make you respectable immediately. You know, even in this offense, because he can move and run around and you can dial up some plays for his legs, and then he can make some big plays scrambling outside the pocket, maybe they would be averaging, 17 points a game instead of 13.3. But I think he'd be a nice stopgap for a year to either make sure Luke or Brock is ready to really take the reins or a bridge to somebody else.
I wanted to ask you that, and you just went ahead and answered it kind of in that response I just had there. I don't think Thomas Castellanos is a national championship winning caliber quarterback.
Nope, not at all. I agree.
But what is our target for next year?
Right.
It's Florida State. The standard is the standard. It's a 12-team playoff. I guess you still want to get into the playoff and see what happens when you get from there. But when the floor has been reset in such a dire, stark fashion, Corey, like where can we go? How do Mike continues to coach this team as though he's coaching the 23 team, right? We talk about how aggressive he is at the end of halves, or at least first half, like wants to get the ball back. For my offense that I understand hasn't done anything for 29 minutes, 39 minutes, but let's see what else we can get done here. You
mean 3 months, not just 29 minutes, hadn't done anything in 3 months.
He's processing himself like that. So I wonder if he's going to look at guys as though, all right, like that's a good guy. We can win a lot of games with him, but probably crunch time. I don't know. But hey, beggars can't be choosers right now.
Yeah. I think when you look at Castellanos, his record is around 500 at Boston College. Again, it's quarterback's record are what they are. Like he put up 29 on a really good Florida State team last year. It almost won that game. I think when you look at him and you're like, and you think about, okay, he's going to have better people around him. Supposedly, theoretically, that's the hope that you can put more talent around him than Boston College can in year one under Bill O'Brien. But we'll see. We'll see what he's got around him. But I just think you have to ask yourself, and we're just limiting it to Castellanos right now. There will be other quarterbacks in the portal. And I'm not saying I have any inside knowledge that Castellanos would even come here or they even want him. I know that he's played against him twice. He's 1-1, really close to being 2-0, and they recruited him coming out of high school. Those are the only connections right now. We don't even know who the OC is going to be. But you have to ask yourself, because of the debacle that this season has been, we don't know anything more about Brock Glenn and Luke Kromenhoek. Not a darn thing.
Nothing.
And they haven't grown at all. They haven't shown any growth. from their first games that they played. Like, think about Brock Glenn against Clemson, and then think about him now. It's regression, if anything else. Croman Hawk is just ducking into sacks. Like, they have not developed at all, and they won't develop over these next 2 or 3 weeks. So you have to ask yourself, okay, starting April 1st, when you start spring practice, or March 20th, whatever it is, who gives you the best chance in 2025? One of these 2 freshman quarterbacks that will be sophomores that you don't still really know anything about, are the guy that has a lot of data points, and you know what he is. Now, but the good thing is you probably know you don't know what his ceiling is, or you kind of do know what his ceiling is. You don't know what the ceiling is for Luke and Brock. But we also know the floor for Castellanos, in my opinion, is much higher at this point in their careers than Brock and Luke. And I'm just talking about 1 year. 1 year. He's not taking over for the rest of their careers. It's 1 year. Now, you bring him in, you're going to lose at least one of them. You might lose both, but then you live with it if you think he's your best option for next year. And again, I'm just using him as an example. There will be somebody like him, if it's not him, where the calculus becomes, okay, does he give us a better chance in the short term, in this 1 year where we have to improve immensely? We cannot suffer more BS like this. Does he get us closer to respectability, to a bowl, to 9 wins, to an ACC championship chase than these 2 guys currently on the roster? My answer to that is yes, but I'm not paid to make those calls.
You are paid to talk about the virtues of a 1 corner pocket bar and grill, Corey Clark. If you could, please wax poetic on how awesome cptallybar.com, a.k.a. the corner pocket bar and grill is.
We talk a lot about the darts. They got a couple of pool tables. Never talk about Golden Tee. I tell you what, dudes of a certain age love them some Golden Tee. And there is a Golden Tee there. You can play that or all you want, all night if you want to. But again, food great, beer cold, drinks cheap, sports everywhere, big TVs, a Vegas wall. It's a good day. It's a good place to go really every night, but certainly starting Thursday night when the football really cranks up through the weekend. So I'd be there Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, and Sunday night.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway.
And sometimes I literally am there all those nights.
B. King up in this mug. Thank you, Brad King. $10 in the jar. Win-loss ratio equals coaches kept replaced. Ooh. So
what is that? I see what he's saying.
They're 2-10. 2 wins and keep 2 coaches, get rid of 10. Also, could you accept a Florida guy running an FSU football team in any capacity? It feels wrong. Where's the rivalry? What the hell happened to us letting in a Trojan horse?
Yeah, man. If these guys are all if you're talking about a Florida guy like he went to Florida, I don't know. But a guy that's just coached at Florida,
yeah,
that happened. Mickey Andrews coached at Florida. He did all right. He wasn't a Trojan horse. These guys are mercenaries. If it's not their alma mater, it's just job to job to job. So yes, if he gives you a better chance to win than what you currently have, you got to. It's not great, but you got to grin and bear it.
Let's see here.
But thank you, Brad. Thank you for the tip.
Henry Lyle says, another wake up live and we're climbing again. What order do you guys prioritize recruiting, development, scheme implementation when it comes to your OC and DC candidates? Ooh, man. I guess scheme implementation is my number one because I just don't think whoever's coming here, I don't think they're going to be a lifer. I mean, I think you're paying somebody top dollar to come here and fix this thing fast. And then that's going to make them so much more marketable to get themselves a really high level head coaching job. So give me the scheme implementation and I guess recruiting and then development. Cause I don't know if they'll be around to, mold somebody from age 17 to 21.
For a coordinator, maybe not so much the development, for position coaches, I'd like to see some development. I'm not going to lie to you. I think when you look at the two men that were let go on the offensive side of the ball, think about the guys think about the seniors they were coaching this year. Think about the development you saw from those seniors, or lack thereof. And that's my problem. Like if you get your hands on these kids for 3 or 4 years and really get a chance to coach them up and develop them, they can't regress and they can't get worse. That's just a plight on your program. And it feels like at both those positions, the longer you were here, maybe the worse you got, or at least you stalled, you plateaued. And the guys that came in for just a brief moment seemingly did pretty well. That's probably not fair. It's a blanket statement. It probably has to do with the talent of those guys that came in for just a year, but still. So I agree with Aslan, though. Scheme implementation first. Recruiting, again, I like some guys. I want, you know what I want, Aslan? I want guys that have coached great players before. I mentioned this the other day. Who is the best coach? And I'm not besmirching Adam Fuller's name. I think if you've listened to me enough, you know that I like the guy, I like talking to the guy, and I absolutely appreciate what he did. But who was the best guy he had coached in his 20 years prior to Florida State? Like, he was coaching at Wagner and Marshall and Memphis. I want somebody that's been around big boy football that can tell me what it was like to coach. Name someone. Ed Reed. I don't care. Like, somebody that has coached some badasses, that knows what it's like to interact with them, to develop them, to recruit them, to convince them to come play for you. I want somebody with a track record of really good players. Now, Adam Fuller has that now. He got Burse, he got Fisk. He got Burse and Fisk. He coached Renardo Green. He got some guys, man. They were really good last year. But that was Florida State doing that with Adam Fuller. I want somebody coming in that already has a resume on both sides of the ball of working with some prime talent, like first or second day NFL draft pick type talent.
All right.
Because Atkins at Charlotte, man, they weren't around a lot of big time. I want somebody that's been around a lot of big time, like Jeremy Pruitt. Again, 12 years ago. He ain't coming, by the way, folks. But you don't open up that can of worms. But he had been around Alabama for 4 years. He knows what it looks like. He knows what the greatness looks like. Like, these guys are great. Like, a lot of these Florida State guys would be stars at Charlotte, but you're not competing against Charlotte. So again, and I'm not. It sounds like I am. I guess I am besmirching Alex Atkins. I'm not. He did an admirable job here, and he just last year he was an up and coming, a rising coach in the ranks. But when you look at his resume, he'd been at Tulane and Charlotte. I'd rather get an O-line coach that has coached some bad boys that have been in the NFL. Get me somebody from the Power Four if you can. That would be awesome.
Shout out to our guy, Dave, Bardstown, Kentucky. Do you have any knowledge of which coach took his firing the worst? Any fireworks, grumblings, disgruntled hand gestures?
I do not. Thank you, Dave, for the tip. I do not. But that because I literally don't have any inside knowledge on this. I know there are rumors going around that not everybody was great about it.
Oh, really? Is there?
My speculation, just us talking, Aslan.
Friends.
I would guess my bald brethren that does not coach the worst defense in the country might have looked at his friend who does coach the worst offense in the country and goes, oh, yeah, you're going to pin this on me, huh? Great, that's fair. Maybe if your offense could stay on the field at all, maybe if we ever had a lead in a game, my defense would have looked a little better. It's weird. Last year, you guys scored points and my defense responded because we played well with the lead. But this year, Mike, somehow my defense is always down by 2 touchdowns because you can't score any points. That's just me talking. And I'm someone that is not an advocate of Adam Fuller staying. Quite frankly, this wasn't good enough either from him. And Mike Norvell could say quite fairly, I hear you, Adam. I hear you. I did just get you a raise last year. And if you handle this money right, your family's set for life. So we're all square. Good luck to you. I made you a millionaire. Yep. I hired you from Memphis. I hired you from Marshall. You are now a millionaire. I know it's not all about money. You also got to coach Jared Burse. You got to coach Braden Fisk. You got to celebrate an ACC championship. You've got all that on your resume. And I appreciate what you did for me, but it was a transactional relationship because I did stuff for you too.
I think it's been cool to see a lot of the players take to social media. I think I saw BJ Gibson tweet out something about Ron Dugans. Edwin Joseph tweet out something nice about Adam Fuller, said, best of luck, my guy. Yeah, a lot of people got mad at me. A lot of people were like, can we fire Aslan now as well?
Oh, no. For what?
Well, because I was stunned that they fired Adam Fuller.
Oh, yeah. I know you were.
The timing of it, though, I wasn't saying keep him, but it just felt like if you really are still pouring everything you can into winning games this year.
Come on, man. That ain't the truth. That's not the truth.
All right. I'm just saying you probably keep that guy and get rid of the co-DC, but I realize there's other things kind of factoring in there. And I don't know, Corey, when it's so bad, I guess. Is the rebuild going to be made that much more difficult because you don't have a quarterback and you need a new offensive coordinator / offensive scheme, and defense isn't figured out either? I mean, it isn't one side of the ball.
Yeah, but that implies that if you had kept Adam Fuller, the defense was figured out. There was nothing redeeming about the way this defense played either. Nothing. And again, I'm not trying to hate on the kid because Kevin Knowles has actually played well lately.
But I'm just saying, like, if he has talent, he's at least proven to you he's going to be okay.
I think he's got talent, man. They're not devoid of talent. It ain't like there's a bunch of 2-stars running around out there or guys that won't be in the league. Part of being a coach is like, you have talent. How to utilize that talent? How to get them to play hard? How to get them to play physical and tough? And it's just this defense, and I get it because they're bad now. But they haven't played physical, Aslan, I don't think, since the Cal game. Like that's what made that such an outlier, right? It just looked different. No. And we haven't seen it since. And I think that does fall on the feet of the defensive head coach. I mean, it falls on the feet of the head coach, but also the defensive coach. So that would have been a really tough sell to bring him back. I get what you're saying, but when you're this bad, it can't just be one side of the ball. It's got to be, because neither side of the ball is any good. It's got to be completely blown up. You start over. Again, the good news is the rebuilds, they can be expedited very, very quickly in the modern era of college football.
Yeah, I guess, my hope was just put everything you have, heart, mind, body, and soul, into fixing the offense. Give him a couple pieces. You're probably okay on defense. But again, the defense has been so porous.
Hey, buddy, what am I doing right now?
Two things at once.
I can do two things at once. But actually, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Maybe I should do the right. That's hard to do. But yeah, you can do two things at once. You can try to fix the offense and the defense. Pour a lot into both. You need to get right.
All right, let's go to Kelly O. Kelly O got Alexander Hamilton with them. $10 in the jar. Thank you, Kelly O. If we're going to make some changes, can we put on that list a switch back to the pre-2014 uniforms with the old helmet decal? We haven't been the same since the rebranding.
Well, they've had a couple undefeated seasons, Kelly O. I see what you're saying, though. I mean, if Nike lets you, Nike's calling the shots. I think you could. You know what? I'll suggest it to Alford. I would like to get a Mickey Andrews way somewhere on campus before we go back to the old uniforms. But hey, man, I'll try. I already got the scoreboard fixed and the DJ music fixed. So that's my next. I guess that's my next project, or our next project. Aslan, you're in on it too.
Kay Escoto. Pick a 4-year stretch where you're a student going to every game. What 4 years do you pick? When did your ex-wife go to Florida State, Corey?
It's 96 to 99.
That's the right answer. Thank you, everybody.
I think so. So you're right, because her first year they were undefeated but had to play Florida again in the Sugar Bowl, which was just a joke. 97, horrible, heartbreaking loss at the end of the year when they were undefeated against Florida again. 98, they make the national championship game, but lose a heartbreaker to Tennessee because they're down to essentially their third-string quarterback. And then she capped it off with an undefeated national championship season. She also never saw him lose at home.
Yep.
I was thinking that, but what about like either that one or
every game, Corey? Every game. Neutral site, away games, so you have to wear the losses too. You have to. I don't know. Being in the swamp and losing them in '97 might have been my own personal hell.
Shanna was there.
Oh.
We were there. That was our first date.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, you forge a bond that is unbreakable.
Yeah.
When you're, well, I guess it was breakable. It ended up getting broken, but it was forged for a good long while. It was forged in steel for about 20 years after that. But yeah, that was that. We met Friday night. We had met online in our first date because she was a Florida State student. I was a Georgia student. We met at a hotel in Lake City because that's where my dad got a room on Friday and Saturday night. And then she would not let me sleep in the hotel room with her. So I had to sleep in my dad's truck that night. And then I got up at 8 in the morning. I was like, it even had 2 beds. I'm like, it's 2 beds. But anyway, so I went in, I slept in the second bed for about an hour or two. Then we went to the game, heartbreaking game, drove back to Tallahassee, stayed at her apartment that night, but had to sleep in the living room floor. But that night we went to a bar and saw Sebastian Janikowski drinking. So those were the glory days, man.
Yeah.
Those were the glory. But that was an absolutely painful, gutting loss. But then you end it with a national championship over Virginia Tech. So that is the right answer. Maybe 90-93.
Yeah, I'll say maybe that. But those, I mean, the wide rights.
No, that's ultimate pain. You're right. You're right.
All right. Zeiler with a fairly salient point, but this is when we were talking about quarterbacks and how you really don't know what you have currently, which I don't disagree with, Corey. But Zeiler says, isn't the issue more so your offensive line and not the quarterback? So I guess if you fix the offensive line,
right,
will that put everything into place, or do you need the new coordinator to bring his offense to get this quarterback feeling good about themselves, and then everything else will fall in place?
The answer is, Zeiler, yeah, the offensive line is clearly a big issue. But I also want to stress, not every sack that Croman Hawk has taken is because the offensive line is just getting run through. Some of those are just, he's looking at the rush because he's young and he doesn't have a good offensive line. It makes sense. But the point more being, you don't know what you have with the quarterback. Like, so what if next year the offensive line is improved but still not very good? Well, is it going to be this again? Like, do these two guys need a very good offensive line to succeed? Because I guess my counter to that would be, I don't know if somebody like Castellanos needs an all-conference offensive line in front of him at every position for you to move the ball on offense. He doesn't even need great skill guys with him. And again, I keep bringing up Castellanos just because he's in the portal right now, but somebody like that. So it's easier to get a quarterback that can play at this level than a good offensive line in a year. That said, the offensive line absolutely needs to be upgraded. And there is a chance that Luke Croman Hawk and Brock Glenn end up being really good college quarterbacks. The worst part about this debacle is that, well, there's a lot of worst parts about it. One of the worst parts of this debacle is we are no closer to knowing if those two guys are good. We just have no idea. You're going into 2025 essentially blind.
Put this guy up here. Ted Dillon. Hey, Ted Dillon, here's free advertising for you to go start your own podcast. Best of luck to you. Buy a microphone that has USB capability. It'll make it for the ease of connecting your microphone to your computer. And you can say everything you want and let people subscribe and listen to your takes.
Oh, I was even looking at that. Oh, Ted Dillon. Yeah. I was like, man, I'm reading along with you. He's not saying what you're saying. Yeah. He wrote something different. Yeah.
Best of luck to him in his endeavors. We got Justin Polk here. He's got $10 in the jar. Thank you, Justin. With a new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, both, do you guys see Norvell changing how practices go? I'm of the opinion that the way this team practices has made them soft and injury prone.
I would say this. I don't know if it's, and thank you, Justin. I don't know if it's because of the OC and the new DC coming in that practices change. Again, this is a reflective year if there's ever been one. Like, everything is on the table. He absolutely should be thinking about the way they practice. When you have this much of a disastrous season, everything about the way you practice should be changed. The timing of it, the time it starts, the amount of periods, what you do in those periods, like it should, like the schedule.
Last year, Corin, you went 13 games out of 14 games.
Yeah, but again, when you have this bad a season, don't you think you start thinking about all that?
No,
I'm not saying he's going to change it. But
I think you think about talent. I know you want to talk about him not believing what he says when he tells us that he's pouring everything into winning these next few games. Do you believe him when he says that? I looked at the film again the other day and I thought the effort was good. He's not going to call out players because you have to make this a welcoming place for new people. But I think he looks at film and he's got to see maybe the effort's not there. And I think he sees that the execution, the talent's not there either.
Yeah, but it's like I don't think, as we said on headlines, it's not like you look at guys not running hard or running fast. They don't just loaf, but they don't play with a lot of physicality, do they? And that's part of effort too. They're not trying to send guys backwards typically, especially when the game is out of reach. But that's also human nature, man. Like, I get it. You're 1-8, about to be 1-9, getting embarrassed on TV, knowing the other side of the ball can't score at all. And so I don't know if it's like they're not quitting necessarily, but they're certainly not trying as hard as they possibly can. There's a big gray area there where they swim in.
I don't know if the House settlement is going to affect things immediately for next season, but you would be at 105 scholarship players.
Yeah.
But I think you're capped at 105 period, right? Like there's no more walk-ons. Like you just have 105 players on scholarship and that's that. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So yeah, but
you'll have less people, but at least they're being compensated to go out there and get their tails kicked in every morning.
I think that's don't you think they have about 20 walk-ons right now?
No way, man. Just think about all the black jerseys that are out there, man.
Some of those guys are scholarship guys. They're just freshmen.
That's true.
I would say it's about 20. I don't think the numbers changed that much. It will hurt. I also think it's not great for walk-ons necessarily, but I think some of those walk-ons will get scholarships now. So it might, like there might be 20 walk-ons on this team where if they're here next year, 8 of them might get scholarships. I mean, you can't play 105 players. Some of these guys are basically practice players. It's essentially a practice squad. And if they're giving you the money to fund 20 extra scholarships, I guess they're not giving you the money. You have to spend the money. It'll be interesting to see what schools do that. I don't know that every school is going to have 105 scholarship football players.
Aaron P is here. He's got $5. We appreciate that, Aaron.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Have y'all seen the rumor of Keon Coleman talking to recruits about Ron Dugans? I like the way he spelled Dugans, by the way.
Yeah.
Tough look. This I've seen it, but I thought this was something that dated back to late last year. But for some reason now we're talking about it, or maybe it's two completely different things.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, look, man, I'm having people tell me this at the bar. I didn't see the quote from Keon. I didn't see a quote from a receiver talking about Keon saying it. So I don't know exactly where it stemmed from, but I do know it was something along the lines of Keon Coleman talking to a high school recruit last year saying this was the rumor. Again, let me stress that enough because I do not want to put words in Keon Coleman's mouth if there's not verified evidence that he said it, that Dugans won't develop, you don't come here. But that's second, it's fifth-hand information. But I'm just explaining what the rumor is. I'm not trying to spread it because I have no idea if it's true or not. It doesn't seem like something Keon would say to somebody that's not a buddy of he's not like a guy he's confiding in. He's just some random high school recruit that came on a visit. That seems like an odd thing for Keon to say, but it could be true.
I think there was a photo of him wearing a T-shirt with Ron Dugans' face on it. I don't think it was like a sarcastic thing. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want to talk out of school. I don't know what we can and can't say, but I thought it was something that it didn't deal with development. It was less about Dugans and it was more about, the benefits that bring you to this university, if you will. Maybe not being completely honored, but he also decided to opt out of the bowl game. So maybe that affects what comes your way. But again, not 100% sure of the details of what's been said or been rumored, but I don't think has Florida State ranked 34th right now in the recruiting rankings. Not that Aaron's saying that either, Corey, but I don't know. But hey, maybe that was part of it. It wasn't why Ron Dugans got
Well, no, but I will say this, and this isn't Ron Dugan specific, but I do think Norvell is smart to, when he has these exit meetings with these kids, even last year when Travis leaves, when all these other guys leave, ask them about their position coach. What do they think of him? Especially, I said this a couple weeks ago. Go talk to the guys in the league now, the guys that won you a lot of games that have no agenda at all. They just, I would hope they want what's best for Florida State. Most of them are only at Florida State for a year or two anyway. Ask them what they thought of their position coaches. You know, I think they'll give you more honest answers than guys that might have an agenda because they feel like they were screwed or they weren't treated fairly, whatever the case may be. Those guys were treated fairly. They're all making money in the NFL. Get their honest feedback.
So this photo was from October. This is from October 21st of last year. So it's totally irrelevant to the conversation. I take it back.
It's a cool shirt, though.
That is cool. It is a cool shirt. It is a cool shirt. Thank you for the question, Aaron. Danny C with the $1 million question that I don't think has an answer to it. How many wins does Mike Norvell need next year and then the following year to be on track as our coach for the foreseeable future?
So next 2 years after a 2-win season.
I mean, can you go 7-5 when you just replace both coordinators?
Yes. Again, at the end of the day, Aslan, it's not like $55 million buyout is cheap. You know, that's barely, I mean, percentage-wise, it's not that much different than $65 million. Like, you're still going to have to pay out an enormous sum of money. And I don't think 7 wins, if you go 7-5, you're out. I mean, again, if Florida is in the indicator, they can't do it with Napier. And that's $26 million. He will still be $30 million more than that. And if you show an improvement like that, and maybe more importantly, if you have some young guys you believe in or a quarterback that you really believe in, you can wear not wear at this point. You'd be bathing in a 7-5 season, but you could wear a 7-5 season followed by another 7-5 season, and still, say, okay, we'll ride this out he gets one more year. He would absolutely be on the hot seat. But I would say 13 to 14.
That's great. So they could win 7 games in 25, 7 games in 26, and you think there's a better than likely chance he comes back in 27?
Yes.
Oh.
Don't throw up. Don't throw up.
Oh. It's apples to avocados, I guess. But I was thinking about the 2022 season the other day because we'd all would sacrifice limbs and other important things to us in our life to probably get back to a 10-3 season. But so much of it was because it looked so horrible in 2020.
Yeah.
The year after that, you lose to an FCS team for the first time in your program's history. So like 10-3 felt great. And you started off 4-0, and then you lost 3 in a row to rally off and win 6. So, the way that played out was a little bit different, but I don't know. I mean, the fact that he did win 13 out of 14 games at one point, he has that in him. Well, and I know you're going to go through 2-10, but I don't know how great 10-3 is going to feel. It
would feel incredible next year if you're 10-3. You'd also be in the playoff conversation, which is all you're really trying to do at this point. You want to be in the playoff conversation, and hopefully you get in and you get lucky, you win a few games and you win the dang title. But it's not a guarantee. It really does depend on how it looks, man. Say they start out 2026 7-0, and then they lose their last 5 and they lose to Florida by 40. Yeah, man, you could be gone. You probably should be gone. But if you go 7-5 and you lose a couple close games on last second plays and you're competing hard, it's a tough schedule, whatever the case may be. I'm not advocating for it. I'm saying, if you're the administration and you're still going to owe this man $40-something million, that's 2 years from now, folks. Firing a guy that's 7-5, that is proven, again, it'll be 3 years removed at that point, but that he can win 13 games with no guarantee that who you're hiring is going to be any better. That's the issue. You're going to spend $45 million plus whatever you'd have to do to buy out the other coaches. So you're around the neighborhood of probably $55 million to jettison a coaching staff, to bring in another coaching staff from the group of 5 and give him a couple years to get it right. You have to ask yourself that next season, does Mike Norvell have a better chance of winning 10 games that next season, or does your brand new coach have a better chance? And that's what it all comes down to. I'm not advocating for it. I'm not saying it doesn't make me want to vomit a little bit to think of this team losing 10 more times the next 2 years. But maybe I'm just immune to it, or 1-9 has numbed me. I'm not happy about it, but I just think the realistic and when you're trying to move another conference, when you're trying to get another conference, I just think it's realistic to think that back-to-back winning seasons would be enough for him to keep his job and not pay $40-something million for him to go away. No, and the answer, ask that question, Aslan, because the answer is hell no.
Our guy Ben jamming two shirts. Ben two shirt. The real question is, does Mike get an extension if they were to win more than 9 games next season?
He could go 16-0 and win every game by 40 points. He ain't getting an extension. You can bump him up $1 million a year, but you don't need to give the man an extension. If the Bears come calling, it was awesome, Mike. Thank you for the 9 wins, but have fun in Chicago.
Oh, gosh. By the way, somebody was asking about the house settlement, which was just flashed on the screen during the town hall they're doing with the boosters. So I took a photo of it here. So the window opened on the 18th of October for people to start filing claims. The deadline for attorneys to file for reimbursement of fees and their litigation expenses is December 17th of this year. But it seems like July 1st, 2025, beginning of revenue sharing. So it sounds like it is going to be happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
April 7th might be the next big sort of date, because that's when it's going to the it'll be heard in the Northern District of California, Oakland Division District Court, where the final approval hearing will be happening.
So if it does happen, just to remind people, I believe the number, Aslan, is $20 million that the teams will, I guess that's every big Power 4 team. Maybe it's every FBS team? That can't be right. I think it's just the Power 4. They give $20 million to the players to be split up however they deem they're supposed to split it up. So if that's the case, man, that makes things interesting. Now, I'm going to sound naive here, but if everybody's on a level playing field again, things get interesting again. But there, hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but back in the 80s and 90s, there were some guys that, even though they were amateur athletes, would get paid to play college football. It was under the table. I think you're probably going to have some more under the table stuff going on, but everything being equal, if they're all getting paid the same, every team has the same revenue to give to the players, it will equal things out, or should anyway. But it also makes it hard, man. That's $20 million you have to devote to your football program every year, on top of what you're paying your coaches.
I shouldn't say this out loud, but
oh, great. Well, that's a good way to start the sentence.
Politically, what happened is it $20 million for just football or everybody?
No, I thought it was just for the football teams, because they're the ones that get the big TV contracts.
Okay.
I guess it could be $20 million for, I don't think it would be for every sport. Okay. I think it would be, I think it's just for football. Could be wrong though, folks. As that one guy said, start up your own live video podcast and bring the real information. And also, that's when the 105 scholarship players would come into effect. It's also supposed to be when baseball scholarships are fully funded. So that's an extra 20 scholarships for baseball, because they're like whatever they are, 11.2 right now. They would go up to almost 30. So that's a lot of extra money that has to be created for your athletic department just to pay the players or pay for scholarships. And with that there, it's harder and harder to pay a $50 million buyout to a head coach because he's not winning enough.
So this is from the ESPN story. It says collectives associated with the most prominent football, basketball programs in the nation currently distribute 10 to 20 million per year to their players, according to multiple sources. If those operations are significantly reined in by the settlement, players on those teams could potentially make less money through the proposed revenue sharing agreement than they currently do through NIL deals.
Good.
But I guess, yeah, that doesn't clarify anything. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. What a waste of our time, Aslan.
Sorry. All right, let's take one more on the way out here as we hit the 1 hour mark on the show. Thanks for being here, everybody. Hit the thumbs up. Certainly would appreciate that. That'd be really super cool. Anything saving here? Yeah, about Dave Doherty. Everybody wants former players to come back. What do you think about Chris Winkie? Bring Winkie back?
I know he was interested when they ended up hiring Tokars. And you know what? I mean, that quarterback play hasn't been terrible. They certainly played better against Miami than your quarterbacks did. We'll see. Again, I think that comes down to he's not probably going to be your OC. He's never been an OC. I don't think he was with the Rams. I think he was always just been a quarterback's coach.
Correct.
But if your OC, usually your OC is going to want a lot of say in who his quarterback coach is going to be. They usually work hand in hand. In fact, a lot of times it's the same person doing both jobs. So if you are an OC that has a relationship with Winkie or think Winkie could teach his system well, then absolutely. I do. You know, if Odell retires, which people have has been rumored about forever, every year it seems like, you're not going to have any former Florida State guys on the staff. I know you want to just go get the best guys available, by any means necessary. I would like a little bit of a connection to the past too. Guys that this place is in their blood. They're not just mercenaries. They don't just come for the paycheck to turn a program around and look to climb a ladder. This place does mean something to them. And I'm only bringing that up because we talked about Antonio Cromartie. Yeah. Not that they would hire him or he's even on their radar, but he was tweeting out that he was ready, and he's been coaching DBs, I think in Texas, where he was
in A&M. He was working under Jimbo.
That's right. You'd like to have some connection to the past. Doesn't mean you have to have the head coach, but I'd like some assistants like Corey Fuller, guys like that are on the staff. This place means something to them, man, and you want that on your staff. This has become such a this whole sport has become so I don't know, man, just transitionary, to completely make up a word. There's not a lot of connections from coach to coach at these places anymore. I mean, Brian Kelly is coaching in Baton Rouge, for crying out loud.
For how much longer?
Yeah, well, right. So I would just like a little bit of a connection. And yeah, Robert D., I'm not advocating Odell retires, but I don't know that he will or won't. He's also been here for 30. He's been here for 30 years.
I mean, like he's Dion's former roommate.
Yeah, it's crazy. He and Dion are the same age.
You know?
Yeah. Again, Dion might be your DB's coach next year. He's going to bring Travis with him. He's going to bring some Louis with him. I think his two sons are out of eligibility, but Travis still has a year left. Bring him back. Right the wrong, Travis. Right the wrong.
If Mike goes 6-7, 6-7, what is Dion next coach, like minus 125 or like plus 500? I
would say it's plus a lot, only because is he even going to be at Colorado next year? Like his kids aren't with him.
Yeah.
In a lot of their greatness, and again, I'm not poo-pooing what he's done, but Shedeur Sanders is really flipping good.
Yeah.
And so is Travis Hunter. Yeah. Like, is he going to be able to get those kind of wide receivers without Shedeur Sanders as quarterback?
Well, the Juju Lewis kid, Julian Lewis, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, I think he's been committed to Southern Cal for a minute. I think he's visiting Colorado here soon. So, I mean, he's in the mix for one of the top quarterbacks in the nation, which doesn't mean he's going to leave, but he still has the ear of elite recruits. So he's got that.
I'm interested to see what it looks like without Shedeur. I'm interested to see how interested Dion is in coaching if his sons aren't on the team. That's something we've never seen before. Not saying he won't do it. Not saying he's going to win a national championship next year at Colorado. It's just hard to know because he's never coached a college football team where his kid wasn't the quarterback.
All right, we did it. We made it an entire hour. Over 1,200 people at one point in this show. We appreciate you all. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. Shout out to our guys, Eric, Austin, Brad, Dave, Kelly, Aaron, and Justin for throwing doll hairs in the jar. We appreciate that, but we also appreciate you folks checking this out for real, asking questions. This is the easiest show of the week. I don't even have to think. And poor Corey doesn't have to answer bad questions. He answers good questions from all you folks instead of me. So we appreciate you being here. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. And for real, like the first hot board is dropped over on warchant.com. 18 names that you need to be familiar with.
Yeah.
I get it's like $120. That's a pretty big financial commitment for an entire year of something. But man, listen, man, y'all have Netflix and some other weird stuff you subscribe to. You can subscribe now for only $1 for a week. and then we're going to put you on an annual plan, but it's going to be 50% off of that annual plan normally. So $1 for a week and then 50% off for an entire year after that. That's going to take you through Ham making it back to the tournament, Link taking us back to Omaha, maybe Penske winning another national championship, Lonnie getting the girls back to OKC, Mike with a whole bunch of new coordinators.
Hey, great signing class.
Players.
Great signing class, by the way, from Lonnie today. They had the number 3 class in the country. So it looks like softball is just going to keep on rolling.
Never in doubt. And then, we'll be getting ready for Bama and a brand new, fully renovated Doak Campbell Stadium. And then we'll be doing these shows on Tuesday live because we're going to be waiting for the college football playoff poll to come out. We're going to do instant reaction.
2 quick things before we go, Aslan. I think I would literally pay a year's salary, or at least half of a year's salary, to watch Jake Paul have to fight 21-year-old Mike Tyson.
Absolutely.
It would be unbelievable.
Yes.
I would give anything. He's going to climb in the ring with a 58, somebody older than Odell to fight. But I would love him to fight Mike Tyson in his prime. Would be unbelievable. Just the amount of urine in the ring. But he gets to fight him when he's 30 years past his prime. And then also, real quick, shout out to my mom.
Sharon.
She said, you and Aslan are so cute and funny watching the show. So we did it.
Love you, Sharon.
That's right, Mom. That's right, Mom. We both do. That's coming from your 2 boys.
Thanks for watching, everybody. He's Corey Aslan. Thank you for watching Wake Up Warchant. It's been live, as always, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, promo code warchantbogo. Shake it and take it. We'll see you over at warchant.com, everybody.